Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to every generation explained in 15 minutes. This should be interesting. I want to learn about the generations before me, minus Generation X, because technically Generation X would, for most of us millennials, I would say Generation X would be our parents. Oh boy, but anyway, so that's just without further ado, man. Let's just get right into it. Let's get right into it, shall we? So we got the lost generation, the greatest generation, the silent generation, and the boomers. The boomers is the one I'm very interested in trying to learn. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into it.
The Lost Generation, 1883 to 1900. If you were born into this generation, you'd literally be celebrating your 17th birthday in front of the trenches, huddled down with mud covering your entire body as bombs and missiles fly across your head.
Hey, yo.
Sadly, it was during this era that the nightmare and horror of World War I was in full swing, and everybody experienced the trauma and death that came with it. A whopping total of 8.5 million people lost their lives in this war, and another 21 million went home with irreparable injuries. As if growing up and losing all your friends and family in a war wasn't enough torture, they were once again hit with the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 that killed over 50 million people.
So this was y'all COVID. They got this was their COVID. They got the Spanish flu. So this would be their COVID. Damn, that's sad. So I don't even think, yeah, these people ain't even around no more. So none of these people are around anymore to even tell the story of the Spanish flu. So it's sad, bro, because they could have helped us through COVID. Real talk.
Worldwide. Honestly, it was like a morbid game of death, and one thing was bound to kill you. And all these constant L's threw this generation into the early beginnings of the Great Depression, which consisted of a high rate of unemployment, insane abject poverty, and a general sense of hopelessness. These guys were called lost, not because they couldn't find their way home after a wild night out, but because after everything they went through, lost was the perfect way to describe them.
Dang.
Well, nobody can blame them for calling themselves a lost generation, honestly. However,
yeah, so that means they went through the worst. They probably went through the worst. I don't know about the other generations, but this one seemed like they went through the worst. God damn. Hopefully they found happiness before they all passed away, though. Hopefully they all found happiness before they passed away. Because god damn.
a lot of good still came from these guys. They were still able to reach within themselves and come up with people who made significant contributions to the world. Well, they have Albert Einstein, who developed the theory of relativity, and Alexander Fleming, who discovered penicillin, who was also born during this time. The Greatest Generation, 1901 to 1927. Have you ever seen a movie with the whole storyline based on the after effects of war? You know how there would always be an economic crisis and collapse, and everybody that survived would literally be moving around confused and lost while trying to make sense of what is left of the world? Well, this is exactly what the Greatest Generation experienced throughout their time. Now, after World War I, the entire world was thrown into something called the Great Depression. And if you think what the world is going through now is bad, just wait till you hear how crazy it was for these guys. The Great Depression began with the stock market crash in October 1929, which wiped out millions of investors. You see, the entire economy took a nosedive faster than a seagull spotting a dropped hot dog at the beach. The unemployment rate was as high as 25%, and a total of 12,830,000 people were unemployed, which led to people losing their savings, homes, and widespread poverty and homelessness. And just when they thought life couldn't get any more depressing, they were hit with World War II. It was like the universe saying, hey, you know what would spice things up?
So they just suffered the after effects of the first generation. God damn.
Another world war. And sadly, young men were once again trading their dancing shoes for combat boots. This particular war was way worse than the previous one and claimed the lives of over 60 million people. Till today, it is known in history as
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
Yeah, I couldn't live in this generation. For sure could not live in this generation. Fuck no.
The deadliest international conflict ever known to mankind. This was also the period that the Nazis decided that they were superior beings and killed over 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. After the horror of the war, the people who survived came back with a renewed appreciation for peace, democracy, and love after having witnessed the worst in humanity. They started rebuilding the economy once again with Alan Turing, who pioneered computer science and artificial intelligence, and Grace Hopper, who developed the first compiler for computer programming language, because of which today you are technically able to watch videos on my channel. The Silent Generation, 1928 to 1945. Have you ever wondered why your grandparent is such a strict, disciplined, no-nonsense man?
Well, my grandparents will mostly be in the next generation. So this generation, yeah, my grandparents don't exist in this. None of my grandparents exist in this generation. They exist in the next one.
Well, it might just be because they grew up as the silent generation, where the after effects of World War II and the Great Depression shaped their entire lives. If you grew up in this period, you didn't just talk the talk, you would also walk the walk, even in the rain, in the sun, or in the snow, without complaining. Or if you did complain, you did it very quietly. You were born in an era that survived the worst economic downturn, so you were basically the people tasked with making the world better again. Imagine being in school and worrying more about rationing than recess. These guys didn't get to live or experience their childhoods to the fullest because they had to grow up so fast, learn to take responsibility, be frugal, and work hard out of necessity. You didn't do it because you felt like it, you did the work because you had to survive. This is why most people from this generation are super hardworking, strict, and very old-fashioned. You could say they were into vintage before hipsters made it a thing. They became called the silent generation not because they were mute, but because they were modest and didn't whine or complain about anything. While modern social media encourages us to share every meal and mood, the silent generation would have probably seen a post about avocado toast and said, "Back in my day, we were lucky to have toast." Baby boomers, 1946 to 1964.
Okay, this would be my
The
grandparents.
baby boomer generation began in the aftermath of World War II when soldiers returned home, love was in the air, and the young couples were working overtime in the bedroom. This generation is called the baby boomers because they were born in a period that saw an unprecedented number of births. It was like they took the passage from the Bible where God said, "Go forth and multiply," a little too seriously. It felt like someone flipped a switch from war to peace
Who's a
and
freaky
then
ass
to
nigga?
procreate. Hospitals were busy, nurseries were full, and the sound of cooing babies was the new national anthem. The baby boomers grew up during a time of great change and optimism. The economy was booming, much like the population, and houses were being built faster than you could say white picket fence. This generation saw the rise of rock and roll with Elvis Presley shaking things up on TV, just like we have
Fuck
TikTok
Elvis.
challenges now. If you were a boomer, your childhood likely involved playing outside until the streetlights came on, riding bikes without helmets, and watching TV shows like Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy. One thing that sets boomers apart is their optimism. They grew up believing they could change the world, and in many ways, they did. They questioned authority, protested the Vietnam War, were at the forefront of the women's liberation movement, and fought for civil rights. They were like the superheroes of social change, minus the capes. Generation X.
Okay, this would be my
1965 to
parents' generation.
Let's start with their name. Generation X. It sounds like a superhero team, right? But unlike the X-Men, these Xers don't have superpowers, unless you count their ability to survive without the internet and phones for most of their childhood as a superpower, which, let's be honest, it kind of is. Generation X are the ones who grew up with MTV, the original Star Wars trilogy, and the ever-present threat of nuclear annihilation. In short, they were the guinea pigs for modern pop culture and the end of the Cold War. One of the greatest traits of this generation was their independence. They're often called the latchkey kids because many of them came home to empty houses after school because their parents were busy working. This led to a generation that's self-reliant and adaptable. These guys entered the workforce during an economic downturn and are known for their resourcefulness and resilience. They witnessed the rise of the corporate ladder, but were also the first to truly embrace the concept of work-life balance. They're the generation that said, wait a minute, there's more to life than just work? And then promptly invented casual Fridays and telecommuting. They worked hard and played harder, often simultaneously, and were honestly the original side hustlers, juggling multiple jobs and gigs before it was seen as cool. This generation gave us men like Bill Gates, who's the co-founder of Microsoft, Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, and Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Basically, Gen Xers were the cool aunt or uncle of generations. They're old enough to remember life before smartphones, but young enough to explain memes to their parents. They've weathered economic ups and downs, technological revolutions, and the entire evolution of video game consoles. Millennials, 1981 to 1996.
The best generation. The best generation. I don't care what y'all say. We the ones, nigga. We the ones, nigga. Fuck you talking about. We the ones, nigga.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
We the ones, nigga. We the goats over here, bro. Millennials, the goat group right here. This would be my generation right here. Millennial gang in the building, bro. Stand up. All my millennials out there. It's millennial gang over everybody. Fuck everybody else, right?
AKA Generation Y, AKA the digital natives. These are the people who were born during the rise of the internet, smartphones, and social media. If you were born during this time, then you can be comfortably called a master of adaptability because you've legit lived through it all. From dial-up internet.
No, we the master of all trades. We the jack of all trades. Put it like that. We the jack of all trades. We the all around. We would be the Michael Jordan. We would be the Michael Jordan of generations because we all around. We do it all. You know what I'm saying?
Internet, flip phones, and smartphones, and you're probably still waiting for those promised flying cars. They're like the Swiss Army knives of generations, versatile, handy, and always ready for the next big thing. Millennials are also highly educated because their parents often encouraged them to enter college. Unfortunately, they entered the job market during or just after the Great Recession, which is about as fun as it sounds. This led to them being labeled as lazy or entitled, when in reality they were just trying to pay off student loans larger than the GDP of small countries. Millennials have also been accused of killing the housing market, but let's be real, the only thing they're killing is the idea that you need to own a home to be successful. They're more interested in collecting experiences than possessions, which explains why their Instagram feeds are full of travel photos and not pictures of lawns they've mowed. Technologically, millennials are the Goldilocks generation. Not too old, not too young, but just right. They're the generation that can explain to their parents how to use Facebook while simultaneously asking their younger siblings to explain what Snapchat filters do.
Nah, we can figure it out. We adapt. Millennials adapt to all. Millennials can adapt. We adapt better than most, okay? Okay, we lived through the cassette players, the VCRs, the Blockbusters, the blowing on the Nintendo cartridges, Sega cartridges, to PlayStation 1 CDs and stuff like that, DVDs. Bro, we adapt to it all, bro. We the ones, bro. I'm gonna keep reiterating it, bro. We the ones. Fuck y'all talking about. Millennials, we the ones.
At the end of the day, millennials are a generation of adaptation that has navigated the shift from analog to digital, from stable careers to the gig economy, and from traditional values to progressive ideals. They're like chameleons, blending into the ever-changing landscape with humor, resilience, and a smartphone in hand. Generation Z, 1997 to 2012. Imagine a generation that literally grew up.
Damn, so all my siblings would be in this generation. My brother is 98, my first sister is 2005, and my youngest sister is 2012. So all my siblings would be in this generation. So all of them are Generation Z. Damn.
Up with smartphones in their cribs and Wi-Fi in their playpens. Known as Gen Z, this generation is the original digital gurus and has created and seen more memes than any other generation. If you are Gen Z, then you can probably communicate more effectively in emojis than in words. This generation is so tech-savvy to the core that if you handed them a rotary phone or flip phone, they would probably stare at it like it's an alien art.
Now, anybody from 97 to about 2002, I'm pretty sure they'll know what a flip phone is. I'm pretty sure they'll know what a flip phone is. Shit, I'll probably go as even far as 2005. Because my sister even knows what a flip phone is. Okay? Smartphones didn't really take off till like what, 2010, 2011? So yeah, I would say a good chunk of this generation knows about the flip phone.
Artifact because they grew up in an age where touchscreens, voice assistants, and 24/7 internet connection were the norm. Gen Zs have never known a world without Google, which is simply like having a tiny professor living in your pocket, except this one doesn't give pop quizzes or boring lectures. For Gen Z, research means scrolling through Instagram, and library is just a fancy word for that place with free Wi-Fi. Social media is a way of life to this generation because they live and breathe platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatever the new app is trending this week. However, this isn't what this generation is all about. Gen Zs are actually a very socially conscious and intelligent bunch because they really care about climate change, social justice, mental health, and animal safety. This generation of kids is tackling big issues with the same fervor they use to tackle COD opponents. They have an ability to multitask and look for the easiest ways possible to get the work done, which makes them very resourceful, smart, and productive. Generation Alpha, 2013 to 2025. These little tykes are the first generation to be born entirely in the 21st century.
Dang.
Talk about starting life with a clean slate, or rather a clean touchscreen. They are set to inherit a world where AI, virtual reality, and smart everything are the norm. These kids don't just use tech, they wear it, eat with it, and probably dream in binary code. For generation
I feel sorry for this generation. I really do. I feel sorry for this generation and all the other generations that come forward because y'all got to deal with all the bullshit. Sadly.
Alpha, technology isn't just a tool, it's an extension of themselves. While you might have to learn how to use a smartphone, these kids are practically coding in their cribs. Their toys are smart, their games are interactive, and their classrooms are virtual. Gen Alpha practically came out of the womb swiping and tapping. It's as if their first words were, "Hey Siri," instead of "Mama" or "Dada." They're so tech-savvy that they could probably hack into your smart fridge before they learn to tie their shoes. They're likely to be even more eco-conscious and socially aware than their predecessors, driven by the challenges they see around them. They are going to revolutionize, well, everything. They're the AI-assisted, VR-enhanced, planet-saving superheroes we've been waiting for. Futuristic New Age Generation. Imagine a generation of kids growing up in a world where traffic jam means a bunch of flying cars stuck behind a flock of confused geese. These kids would be asking the constant annoying, "Are we there yet?" while soaring over city skyline. There would also be things like personalized jetpacks, which would literally become the new bicycle. Commuters will zip between skyscrapers, dotting holographic billboards and automated delivery drones. I mean, Rush Hour would basically look like a chia tick baller of human fireflies. These future kids won't have their heads stuck on their phones or in the clouds because there will be Neuralink by this time. If you forgot to study for a test, then there's no need to panic. All you need to do is download the information straight into your brain. Schools would even offer thought loading sessions where students can absorb entire subjects in minutes. Beware though, because daydreaming in class might accidentally broadcast your crush to the entire school. With Neuralink, language barriers would also be ancient history. If you're lucky enough, someone might even decide the language of animals' language, so you can finally know what your cat really thinks of you. This generation would also witness a time when humans would develop colonies on Mars, which would be an exciting mix of cutting-edge technology and age-old problems. Some kids born there would even view Earth's blue skies and vast oceans as exotic travel destinations. Long-distance relationships would take on a whole new meaning when your boyfriend literally lives on another planet. The future generation would look back at this era with a mix of amusement and awe, just like you view the early days of computing and aviation. Things would be so different and yet so much more amazing. Who knows? Humanity might even visit the stars soon.
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. But anyway, so that's just gonna about do it for this one, man. Who knows what the next generation gonna do? But I hope they well, you know how they don't never want to. Tupac said it best, man. Tupac said it best. What did he say? He said, "Trying to fix the future for the youth, and the truth is, it ain't no hope for the future. It ain't no hope for the future, man." I feel sorry for the next generations coming up. They got to deal with all this gender gender identity shit. They got to deal with all this women rights. Everybody, they got to deal with all this shit, bro. All this shit. This women gender shit. Motherfuckers walking, boys walking into girls' bathrooms. What the fuck is the? Oh, I feel sorry for these generations going forward. I am happy to be a part of probably the last generation that did not have to go through this shit, bro. I am so happy that they did not put this shit in school when I was in school. I just went in there. We learned our ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, learn how to write, read paragraphs and all that bullshit. Count, you know, you know what I'm saying? Learn how to count, you know what I'm saying? Add, subtract, multiply, fractions, decimals. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm happy that I'm part of that last generation that actually learned how to educate ourselves. That learn education, I should say, instead of trying to be fucking instead of falling for identity politics or identity, we need to accept everybody for who they are. So let's do these classes about genders and all this other bullshit. Ugh. Like, I'm happy to be a part of that last generation. That last generation that just stayed with the norm. Okay. Reading, writing, simple shit. But yeah, I digress though. I digress. But I feel sorry for the next generation because they're gonna have to deal with that bullshit, man. And they gonna be so confused out here in these streets, man. But it's probably gonna become the norm. But anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Till then, peace out.